Shalon Winter here, Futures Sniper Beast. Today it's going to be June 17th, Friday. We're going to go over my trading session. Just real quick, here's the risk disclosure. Of course, futures trading is risky. You can lose all your money. Know what you're doing before you do it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click play here. And I'm trading the NQ, NASDAQ. It's pre-market as usual. I trade, 1 hour before the market opens. So it is a little bit after 8 a.m. Eastern time. And again, I'm trading, looking for low risk entry setups. This is a setup through Apex, using Apex tools. So I'm going to go through, I took one trade, but I'm going to go over exactly what it was, what I was looking for, what I was looking at, why I took it. So as you can see here, the market was up here in this area, ran down, passed through this wall. Couldn't really break further, chopped around this wall a little bit, came back up to the deviation here, came back down, kind of hitting this deviation. So as I'm showing on the simplicity chart here, let me go ahead and pause. Market ran down. There was no LREs here, never really pulled back. There was one here, but that was before I was even on. So now, as you can see, it reset here. The lines flipped green. So, there's nothing going on, basically. Flipped green, didn't run. Flipped green, kind of came back down. We have all these green eye zones here at the bottom showing a support level here. It's like a support area, basically. And never ran up. And you can see it's just kind of doing this chopping, hitting this deviation up here, not breaking. So at this point, I'm either looking for it to run up, right, or kind of break down below this resistance. So it's either got to run up above this deviation for me to be interested or below this resistance. So let's see what happens here. Okay, it's hitting the deviation. And it's looking like it wants to give a long here. So if this current bar here breaks above this one, then it'll be a simplicity long because we got both angling up. They're both green. So let's see back here, kind of gave a long, but it was just chopping, right? So here's a simplicity long. Okay. Look, we had an elevator long, simplicity long. So let's see if it runs up. In this case, still kind of chopping around here a little bit. Threw up a cluster here. It's not really going. And this is why I like my LREs, because I wait for a confirmation that it's a trend now. There's a breakout now. Because if I took this as a regular simplicity entry, my stop would be down below this wall. But at this moment, I'd be down about 8 points. So that's not very fun. Pulling back. Technically speaking, this could be an LRE at the wall, but I personally don't like to take LREs that are behind the original simplicity entry. And what I mean by that is if I went off of this as an entry, then I'd want my LRE to be somewhere up here, right? To show me that it's in a trend, pull back. Not hit here, pull all the way back down and get in. Where sometimes those work. It's a valid trade. I just personally don't like it because this tells me it's either in a range or it's staying in a range or it's going to reverse and start trending down, right? Because it failed the breakout. It failed the breakout up. So I'm not unless if I have something really good there, You know, a huge stack, something on top of this wall, very good levels, then I'll take a little bounce. Because again, I'm only going for 5 points pre-market. That's basically a bounce, little bounce. It's not really big. 20 ticks, little bounce. So, yeah. So let's see what it does here at this wall. Will it go up? Or are we going to break short? Okay. Just going to fast forward a little bit because I don't take a trade here. In this case, see, if you took this as an LRE, you would be close to losing. Now we do have this mini magnet here kind of holding. So, see what happens. Kind of hanging in there. Okay. Probably would have got you the win if you took this. I do like this. Came down, bounced off this mini magnet, went up, came back down, tested the wall, laid a mini magnet there, telling me, hey, it's probably going to push off here a little bit. So I do like that. But personally, like I said, I'm not even looking for a trade. I only take up to 3 trades per day, right? I need 2 winners, and I'm calling it a day. I just need 10 points. And that's it. So I want to take the best of the best. You know, the best that things I'm really confident in. So I'm going to fast forward here. It's coming back up to test the dev again. But look, we got another reset. It flipped red. So if this breaks long, I mean, we need it to flip again green. So right now, I'm not even really looking for anything at the moment. I'm going to fast forward. Okay, we came close to an early entry. Both are angled up green. This one did not break the high, but it looks like it flipped back and maybe it'll be ready to break out now. And it didn't. It came all the way back down. So we're clearly in this range, right? Clear. So I'm not even thinking about an LRE right now because I want a clear trend, not a clear range. So just waiting. And fast forward here. We're still in this area. Looks like it might want to go long. Still just giving a nice, and I'm just kind of fast forwarding, clicking through because it's stuck in this range and I'm personally just waiting for it to break out. Now we got flipped red. If this comes short and angles down, we might get a breakout short. So let's see what happens here. So this is all I do. So I'm just literally waiting for it to break out. I don't want anything here. Look at this, simplicity is a mess, right? There's no trend. We're in a clear range. But what comes after mess and clear range? Well, a breakout. And that's what I look for because I love me some breakouts. The market's either going to do a couple things. It's either going to range and look messy, and if that happens, it's going to break out eventually, or it's just trending, and then you look for kind of other confirmations if it's trending. That's really it. So you gotta, you really have to establish what is the market doing. Like right now, what is the market doing? Okay, it's in a range between this deviation and this wall. Do I take trades in the range, LREs? No, I don't. So I'm sitting on my hands and I'm waiting. If it was already trending, then I'm looking for, some nice pullbacks with levels or HD or something nice. That's really it. So I'm going to fast forward here again. Coming back down to the bottom of the range. Okay, here we go. We're trying to break out. We got both angling down, broke the low, so it's technically a simplicity short. Right here, right at about 11, 280. 281, 280.50, somewhere in this area. We got a short now. So let's see if it goes, if it trends short. Now keep in mind, remember, we had all that support area down here that we wanted to really break out of. Okay. So now we are having a nice little run short. Here's our strong support area zone. So it is breaking out, and what I would love, if you notice, as this is breaking out, let me pause. This was our support, right? Pretty much this wall mini magnet. So I would love for this to pull back up and test that and give me an LRE here so I can go back short. I would love that. So let's see what happens. Let's move it forward. So it's pulling back. Okay. Pulling back. Now, if you can see here, the solid line on the simplicity, our LRE entry would be about 11,288. Okay, so that's way up here. I don't want to take it in the middle there, because that's the middle of that range, right? I would want it down here around the bottom to come back up and test it and come back down. So let's see what happens. Now, it didn't really run. It hasn't ran as far as I would like. I would like it to go on a nice run, pull back. But here it kind of broke out and it's pulling back. But see, here's the problem. It went on this nice little run, pulled back, but it only pulled back a couple of bars. I would have loved to see it come down and pull straight back to that wall and then take an LRE short. But it pulled back 2 bars, pulled back, coming back down 2-3 bars. So we're getting a nice little, little chop here. 2-2 bar chop, 2-3 bar chop. I don't love that. That's telling me it's struggling a little bit in this area to continue down. So if this comes back up here, to me, it's a lower probability of it coming back down because it already chopped right in this area. And now there's a cluster. So I'm not feeling very confident anymore if I do get an LRE up here that it'll come back down. It could, but I don't like this choppiness here. It's telling me it's struggling to keep going short. So it's struggling to keep going short. Now, this is lining up to give me an LRE off the wall. Let's see if, well. Okay. It actually accidentally picked up some sound. Let's see here. Okay. All right, now it's pulling back up. We're getting close to having an LRE here at the wall. I'm not going to take it because, like I said, this is a mess. We got some clusters now building up. Right there right here's an LRE. Okay. Normally, I would love an LRE right here. Even though, so this did not run as far down as I would have liked it to, but even though it didn't, let's see, our entry is right here for simplicity. This is a little bit behind our original entry, but if you remember how many times it couldn't break this wall in mini magnet here. So when it comes back up to test this area, I would love an LRE right here to come back down. The only reason why I didn't take this is because it came down, pulled back up a little bit, came back down, struggled, laid a couple clusters. We have a little bit of a ODD here, and just it couldn't go further. So here I'm not very confident it's going to stop and come back down, because it very well could come back up and just come back into this range again. I mean, very well could do that. Here's 11,300 level. It could be going for a 300 level. Don't know. So I don't love just because of this area here kept me out of this short. If it was straight pullback, I would have loved this one. So let's see what happens here. I like that it's setting up to drop a mini magnet there. That gives me confidence. But what do we know with an LRE? We don't have time to see what it does. When it pulled back here, I'm in. I hit sell market. Boom, right there. I'm in right up here. And then, when this closes down, hopefully it develops something to continue down. So I don't know if it's going to lay this mini magnet when I hop in my LRE. So let's say I'm in at 11,284, 285 area, right? That means I need it to come down to 11,279, 280. Look, I was very close to jumping in this one. And then it shot down because I knew, I didn't know, you never know. But there was a good chance this one was going to win. Very good chance. I just didn't like this. And it won. So you got in up here. And we got our 5 points already. So this was a winner. Okay. And see, even now, it's struggling. And here we go. Here's the 30-tick chart. Look at the chop on the 30-tick chart. Right? We got a cluster there, cluster. This area was just, I didn't love it. Right? So we're back at the simplicity chart. Got to bring it back to, so look, and as you can see, it gave us just enough to get that 5-point scalp. Basically a coil chop got us the 5 points and it shot back up into that range. See, that's why I really didn't like this. This told me there's a chance, a very high chance, this could come back up here and head back up into the range. And that's exactly what it did. Fortunately, if somebody took this, they would have got enough for the scalp, the 5-point, LRE win. But, ooh, that was, you had to really get in at the exact right moment and you would have taken profit perfectly. If you would have got in any early or any late, you would have missed this and probably would have got a loss. Okay, so that's why I stayed out of this one. So now I'm going to fast forward because I know, I'm trying to keep my videos shorter than long. Definitely under 20 minutes for sure. So now I'm waiting. We're right back down to the bottom here where it couldn't break out. Left a cluster. Okay. See what happens here. It's trying to go short, but it's struggling. Now it's going short. Here we go. Right down to the dynamic magnet. Okay. Now, there's no simplicity trade, right? So I know we came down to the dynamic magnet. We popped back up. We're still close to this rangy area. So I'd want a short to go below this dynamic magnet and wall because, if I get a short in this area, what if it shorts, hits that, and goes back up? So if I get a short, I want it to come down below, even further down, and then pull back up. So let's see what happens. It looks like it wants to go short. Like I said, I want my short to go below this dynamic magnet and wall because I don't want it to stop right here. Okay, it's trying to break through. Let's see if we get an entry here. See if there's an entry below. And see, here's a little bit of a struggle. There's a cluster there on that dynamic, right here on this dynamic magnet. And, if you would have got a simplicity entry here, okay, now it's trying to break short. Let's see if it actually does. It's got to break this bottom of this wick here. It doesn't do it. See, and it's struggling. it's going to take a minute. And here it goes. Now it's breaking. Threw up another green eye zone, institutional zone here. So let's see if it continues short. So like I said, now I want it to run down quite a bit, come back up and either test this bottom or this magnet here. Just going to fast forward. So now we're starting to trend down. It's not going beautifully. It's not going very strong. Now I'm measuring out where an LRE would be, which would be up here at about 270, so that I don't want it. I mean, I do like that there's these 3 clusters here, could come up and come down, but I really don't want it up there. I'm going to fast forward it. Oh, wait. Yeah, so I put my simplicity chart down so I could be ready and continue to read the market here, because now we have a nice little trend going down, right? Pretty clear. Now it passed that dynamic magnet, so now what I'm thinking is, all right, here we go. If it pulls back up to this area where this dynamic magnet wall here, all that area, that'd be a good pullback. But it didn't really make it. We have some HD. Now it's coming down. Let's see where it goes. It's trying to make its way down to this wall. We're in a bit of an ODD state here. Okay, couldn't make it to the wall, kind of bounced up. Trying to get to that wall again. So what's it doing? It's consolidating. It's kind of consolidating here near this wall. So now that we have this consolidation, and now it's getting chopped. See, it went back 3 bars, down 4, up 3, down 3, coil chop, back up. I wouldn't quite take an LRE right here. Now, if it got up to this top, maybe, but it's consolidating. So I'm going to fast forward. Oh, my charts actually crashed at this time. So I had to reopen my charts. So that kind of sucked. So I'm fast forwarding now back to where it was working. And almost there. There we go. Okay. Well, no, not quite. There we go. Okay. So now my charts are back running. So you could see what happened though. Let's see, where were we? Yeah, so we were all the way up here. Ran down. I mean, now we're trending very nicely. See, and when it hits this area here and it pulls back and it's pulling back with some HD to an area. Hold on, let me see if I can get this better, because it really skipped quite a bit. Because see, we were here at 11,225, right? And this is where we wanted it to break down. So it did. It broke short, and if I didn't get in a trade there, it didn't give us an LRE. So just so you know. So now as it's pulling back, right? Nice trend. Oops. Pulling back. Look at this. We had some ODD here, but look at all this volume is pulling back up too. And it's going to pull up to this wall probably. Now, it did pull up higher than this last little pullback, so it's really not really HD, and we had ODD here, so you got to be careful after a long run down like this, and then you hit a level like this dynamic magnet wall and you have ODD of 41%, it very well could reverse and start heading back up. But what do you see just below? Settlement. What's right above it? A Paul and mini magnet. So it very well could want to come down to this to settlement. So let's see if it does. Now, one thing I want to note, I probably had to change my account. I don't want everybody seeing that. So yeah. So since it didn't give me an LRE on this pullback, and it came back to the dynamic magnet here, and it's pulling back up here, what are we seeing? This is kind of a support here, right? So since it didn't give one here, I really don't want this pullback to go above this, right? I would like an LRE right in this area to come back down. That way it kind of creates a little bit of a range. It is technically ODD right now, 55%. Let's see, let me fast forward it. Okay. So what it did was it came back down, testing this dynamic magnet again, and struggling, laying clusters. Okay. So at this point, I want to make a note of something. Something I'm watching. If you look at the trend down, got stopped right by this wall. Came back up, tested the wall again. Couldn't break it. Got here again, couldn't break it. Pulled back up a little bit, gave an HD, TX, OPR, all that good stuff. Broke through. Hit the dynamic magnet, pulled back up. It couldn't make it back up to the wall, right? That wall was a bit of a support here. Couldn't make it back up. Hit the dynamic magnet. Couldn't make it back up. Hit the dynamic magnet. Hasn't broke the dynamic magnet, really. So if this comes back up and goes higher than these 2 points up here and starts heading to the wall, that wall was a bit of a support, right? One bounce, another bounce. So many times when it comes back up here again, it'll get a little bounce. It won't just blast through because it was already support once. It'll be a bit of a resistance. Come back up. So since it's going to break this dynamic magnet and keep running down, if this comes back up here, it'll probably be an area of resistance. And if I get an LRE there, I'd be wanting to take an LRE off that wall because that was a point of support turning to a bit of resistance here. So it's kind of getting a little choppy, and it just can't break. Can't really break this bottom here. So now that it's coming up, like I said, if it hits this and gives an LRE, I would take it. And there we go, I'm in. So it came back up. I got filled a little bit soon, but look at this price line right now, right? It's at the bottom. Now, doesn't mean it's going to just go back down, but it also gave me an LRE here. So it gave me an LRE here. It's at this previous support, previous little bottom, and it was quick. It wasn't a big bottom. It didn't stick long. But now that I made it back up and gave me an LRE, it's likely to come down and give me my at least 5 points. So I'm in. And actually, what probably would happen is if this does bounce down, I would think it would come back and try to want to test this area again. That'd be more than likely. Oh, and look at that. It shot down, gave me my profit. I have a bad habit of moving because I have the global charts on. So when I move it, everything moves with it. So look, and here it goes. See, that's my LRE. Pulled back up, gave me my LRE there. See, the whole time before that, it never gave an LRE. Pulled back up, gave me my LRE. Bounced down, gave me my profit. I could have stayed in this and tried to go to the mini magnet or dynamic magnet. As you can see, it hit my profit, came back up. And what I would have done if I tried to stay in, once this came back down, laid this mini magnet, because I was in right here, right? I'd move my stop to either break even or behind this mini magnet if I wanted to stay in and see if I can get it down to this mini magnet or this dynamic magnet. So if I stayed at break even or moved it to this mini magnet, I'd be out now. But I'd rather take my full 5 points or more. In this case, I think it was a little more because, see, it came back down, tested this area. Now it's going back up. So glad I just took my full profit. And let's see where it goes. Now it looks like it's trying to just head long. Yeah, see? And there we go. That was my only trade that day. And it was 9:18, 9:20 at this point, which that's about the time I stop because the market opens in about 10 minutes. See, then we go back into this area. So there we go. That's it. That was my thinking that day. I got that one trade, but I was very confident in it. No hesitation. And one and done, basically. So, all right, I hope this helps, and we'll see you next time. Take care.